Hello, coffee lovers. My name is Russell Volts from Lake City Coffee. One of the most common questions that I get asked is, can I freeze my coffee beans? Well, let's take a look here and let's see. Hang on a second. Wow. Gosh, it looks like you can freeze them. Here's the question though, how do you do it? And what's the effect going to be? I mean, is it going to taste frozen? Is it going to taste like nasty old beans, like something I could buy in the grocery store? Or is it going to retain the flavor? So we're going to answer all of those kinds of questions. Here's a little known fact that most people don't know. All coffee starts getting stale the moment it's roasted. The rule of thumb for most coffee roasters like myself, that were fanatics about super great coffee, the rule of thumb is 30 days. If it's been roasted more than 30 days, it's not really worth drinking for those of us that are coffee snobs, if you will. And yet, the sad fact is, most coffee sold in the United States was roasted months, if not years ago. So it's been sitting in warehouses and on store shelves for months and years. That's why it tastes so bad. And the coffee roasting companies, the big boys, if you will, they put one-way valves in their bags to make you think, aha, we're keeping this fresh with these one-way valves. Unfortunately, they don't work. I've done multiple tests with them. Sure, they let the outgassing, the CO2, as the beans mature over the first 4 or 5 days, they'll outgas CO2. CO2 is a good thing. That's a inert gas that helps to preserve the beans, but with a one-way valve, it lets that gas out, supposedly not let any air, oxygen, into the bag. Oxygen is the enemy of freshness. So any prepper will tell you the key to keeping food for long periods of time is to keep the oxygen away, so they use oxygen absorbers. We've done the same thing with our coffee. So this is one of the few airtight, heat-sealed bags of coffee that you'll find anywhere in the industry. Almost everybody has those stupid one-way valves that don't work. The reason I can tell you they don't work is take a look at the change of the barometric pressure, and the bag should inflate and deflate if it's truly a one-way valve. They don't. They pretty much stay the same. And if you put your lips to it, you can, just the slightest breath, and you can blow air into the bag and blow it up. So I know for a fact the one-way valves don't work. So how long does coffee go bad? Like I said, about 30 days generally. In these, okay, can I put these in a cup, just in the cupboard, or can I freeze them? With the experiments that I've done, I guess over an 18-month period of time, we've put coffee in the cupboards, just like this, so that it's heat sealed, airtight, oxygen absorber in the bottom. Put them in the cupboards, put them in the freezer. And here's what we found. That in the cupboard for 3 weeks, this coffee is going to taste 98, 99% as good as one brewed yesterday, roasted yesterday. So, and I have to do a side-by-side taste testing and really concentrate to be able to tell that there's any difference. And I can be fooled half of the time. So the difference is minimal for 3 weeks. 6 weeks, I can tell the difference is still really, really good, but the difference is so minimal, I have to really, really focus and concentrate. Now, if I wanted it to go beyond, say, 6 weeks, I stick it in the freezer. And as you just saw, I keep these in the freezer all the time. So I have a dark and a medium here. And I don't drink dark, but I have it for my guests. The medium I drink every single day. And I can stick these in the freezer for 2 months and again have a hard time, and I do side-by-side taste testing, something roasted yesterday versus sitting in the freezer for 2 months, it tastes 95% as good. Is there a difference? It's so minimal, it doesn't really matter. At least to me, it doesn't. I can put it in there for 4 months and I can taste the difference, but it's so minimal, I really don't care. 6 months, which I've done in the freezer, and yeah, I can tell the difference. It's not quite as good as yesterday's roasted coffee, but it's pretty close, about 90%. I've done 12 months, so a full year in the freezer, and it's about 90% as good as 2-day, 3-day old roasted coffee. So does this work? Absolutely. The only way, if you take anybody else's coffee and you stick it in the freezer, if it tastes half as good, consider as well or as bad, depends on your point of view, of the coffee that you bought, and put it in the freezer, a year later, 6 months later, 4 months later, it's going to be just a shadow of what it used to taste like. Now, should you freeze the beans whole bean or ground? Now, actually, I would have thought whole bean would be better. But through my experiments, taste testing, and even my wife Alicia agreed the ground frozen coffee actually tasted better than the whole bean. Now, this is after weeks or months sitting in. We had it there for a long time. So over the course of a year, we would every once in a while dip in and go, okay, which is better, the beans or the ground? The whole bean or the ground? And the ground actually tasted slightly better. I don't bother grinding a whole bag of beans. You can do that if you want, but that's because I hand grind my beans. Only reason I hand grind versus electric, all electric grinders made in China. And I don't like having slave labor, Chinese equipment in my house. We do, of course, so do you. It's hard to get away from, but we do our best. Now, what roast is best for freezing? If you have somebody else's coffee, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because the coffee is so bad and so old, it doesn't make a difference anyway. Our coffee, honestly, it doesn't matter. You put in the dark roast, the medium roast, the white lightning, the decaf, they all last the same percentages I just talked about, and you'll find in this article here at the bottom. So here's a key question. Can you grind frozen beans? Absolutely. I do it with a hand grinder, and it's a little bit harder, not much, just a little bit harder. So I don't even bother. In fact, can you brew it frozen? I do, and honestly, I enjoy it so much, it doesn't make that much difference. If you have any questions on this subject or any other, please email us. My wife Alicia, she responds to emails, I don't know, at least an hour a day, just handling people asking questions. If it gets overly technical, she sends it to me, and we'll get back to you, typically within 24 hours. On occasion, it might be a day or two. So anyway, if you have questions, please get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. Again, Russell Volz from LakeCityCoffee.com. You have a great day and enjoy your coffee.